Imagine this, a perfectly normal, bustling weekend at my grandparents' house. The smell of grandma's cooking in the air, the happy chaos of family chatter, and the general warmth of being surrounded by the people you love. Everything was just as it should be, until a tiny spill of juice threatened to unleash the most bizarre, out-of-line confrontation I've ever witnessed. This isn't just a story about a spilled drink, it's about a complete stranger deciding he knew better than anyone else, and the sheer audacity of some people to cross every single boundary. Before we dive deeper into this absolutely wild encounter, if you're enjoying these stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment for more Reddit tales that will either make you laugh, gasp, or completely lose faith in humanity. So, the scene is set, a typical Saturday afternoon. My adorable 5-year-old cousin, bless her cotton socks, was enjoying a little cup of apple juice. She's at that delightful age where her enthusiasm often outweighs her fine motor skills, and her hands are, let's be honest, often more for decorative purposes than precise gripping. True to form, in a moment of playful distraction, her small cup tilted, and a small splash of juice landed squarely on the front of her favorite dress. It was a completely insignificant amount, barely more than a few drops, but enough to leave a small, sticky patch. As any sane adult would do, I immediately bent down, a reassuring smile on my face. "Hey, sweetie, it's totally okay," I told her softly, wiping at the spot with a napkin. "We'll get it cleaned up, no stress at all. Accidents happen." My cousin, who had looked up with wide, slightly worried eyes, instantly relaxed, accepting my comfort. It was a simple, everyday moment of understanding and gentle care. Or so I thought. Because that's when he entered the picture. The CEO of parenting, as I've come to think of him. He was a distant acquaintance, the dad of one of my cousin's friends, and honestly, why he was even still lingering in my grandparents' house at this point is a whole separate novella of awkward social dynamics. But for some reason, he decided this particular, insignificant moment was his cue to deliver a masterclass in unsolicited, wildly inappropriate discipline. He cleared his throat, a loud, attention-grabbing sound that made the entire room, which had, until then, been buzzing with conversation, noticeably quieten. He puffed out his chest a little, a self-important look on his face, and then, in a voice loud enough to carry across the room, he declared, "That is exactly why kids these days are so soft. You need to be firm. They need consequences." My eyes slowly blinked at him. Was he seriously talking about my 5-year-old cousin and 3 drops of juice? And then, I swear, he actually turned to face this tiny child, my cousin, who literally had no idea who this man was beyond being a random adult in her grandma's living room. He fixed his gaze on her, and with a tone that was far too stern for the situation, he lectured her directly, "You see what happens when you're careless? You ruin nice things." The room went absolutely silent. I mean, sitcom record scratch silent. Every single person, from my grandparents to my aunts and uncles, froze. You could feel the collective shock hanging in the air like a thick fog. My cousin, who moments ago had been comforted, now looked utterly bewildered, her eyes wide with confusion and a hint of fear. I honestly just blinked at this man, trying to process what I had just heard. My mind was reeling. Who does that? After what felt like an eternity, I managed to find my voice, albeit in a somewhat stunned whisper. "Whoa," I said, looking from him to my cousin and back again. She's 5. I thought that would be enough. I thought the sheer absurdity of his statement, combined with the obvious fact of her age, would make him realize he'd gone too far. Oh, how wrong I was. This man, this self-proclaimed paragon of proper parenting, actually looked me dead in the eye and doubled down. "If she's old enough to make a mess," he declared, his voice unwavering, "she's old enough to face discipline." Discipline? For spilling juice? Sir, with all due respect, she is old enough to drink from a cup shaped like a cartoon animal. She is old enough to believe in the tooth fairy. She is not old enough for you to be publicly shaming her over an innocent accident in my grandparents' house. My blood was starting to boil. But before I could even formulate a coherent response, because, let's be honest, I was still somewhere between stunned and furious, my aunt swooped in. And I mean swooped. She has always been the protective mother hawk of our family, and you do not mess with her chicks. Her eyes, usually so warm and kind, were now narrowed into formidable slits. She walked directly up to him, stopping inches from his face, and without raising her voice, but with a steel that cut through the silence, she said, "You are completely out of line. Get out. Now." There was no room for negotiation. No debate. No snowflake parenting lecture back from him. My aunt's authority, especially in her parents' home, was absolute. The man, looking genuinely surprised that his grandstanding had backfired so spectacularly, mumbled something incoherent about snowflake parenting and kids never learning responsibility, as if he hadn't just publicly bullied a kindergartner over a few drops of fruit juice. He actually, shamefully, shuffled out the door, the murmurs of his indignation fading as he retreated. The tension in the room slowly deflated, replaced by a collective sigh of relief and a few comforting murmurs directed at my cousin. I knelt down again, pulling her into a hug. "You okay, sweetie?" I whispered. She leaned her head against me for a moment, then looked up, her little brow furrowed in thought. In a small, almost conspiratorial whisper, she confided in me, "That man needs a nap." Honestly? She understood the situation better than he ever did. A 5-year-old, processing the bewildering behavior of an adult, recognized that sometimes, people just get grumpy and need to calm down. It was a moment of profound, innocent wisdom that cut right through the lingering annoyance. It still makes me so angry when I think about it. The sheer arrogance of some people, the way they feel entitled to project their own rigid, outdated ideas onto innocent children, especially when those children aren't even their own. It's a stark reminder that boundaries are crucial, and sometimes, the most profound insights come from the smallest voices. Have you ever encountered someone so utterly out of line, so confident in their misguided opinions, that it left you speechless? Let me know your stories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales of unexpected encounters.